It's great to see how involved you are personally with riding and not just from the standpoint of being a doctor.
Yes, well, I decided I was not an exerciser when I was younger, but in my mid-30s I realized all the evidence was pointing to the fact that I had to change that. So I started running, and then I wore out a knee, and I was told that if I didn't find something else, that I was going to have significant joint problems.
It connects people more with where they live. When I ride my bike to work, I'm seeing the things that are out there. I'm seeing which flowers are open. I see the birds that might be migrating through, and you develop more of a mindfulness about where you are and what you're doing, and it makes you make choices. The deal isn't that we should never use cars. I used a car to get here. I'm going to use a car later on today, but most of the trips that most of us take are within 5 miles of home.
There's a lot of exciting things happening in the city of Akron. Just getting going with some real comprehensive bike planning. This is something that we believe will add to the quality of life of the citizens there. I said comprehensive because it includes looking at the road network. It also includes doing education, activities to encourage people to bike more.
We have one of the best trail networks around. We have a lot of nice bike and hike trails. We have decent roads for your road riding enthusiasts, fitness levels and everything else. It's a good way to commute. A lot of us here, like including myself, commute to work daily.
So how was that bike ride?
Oh, it was wonderful. Absolutely great. I love riding a three-wheeler. I have no balance, and when I get on a two-wheel, I'm like all over the road, and I feel like I'm going to fall. So my husband decided that a three-wheeler would be just what I needed. It really is good for people that don't have a good sense of balance or are nervous about riding a two-wheeler. And for the older people, it's absolutely great.
We'll make it a social event. For example, for a long time we've ridden for a weekend from Akron to Worcester to go to the Ohio Light Opera Company, and we've had as many as 10 or 12 people on that ride. We'll ride down one day and see a show and stay overnight and ride home the next day, so it's about an 80-mile round trip.
It's enjoyable to get out. I have a group of people that I ride with on a frequent basis. We do a Wednesday night workout, and it's good to get out. We go out and we have a lot of fun working really hard, doing a training workout, and then we usually go out and grab some dinner and some drinks, and it's a social aspect as well as a training and fitness issue. It's a lot of fun.
This is a bike with a battery power kit on the back. You have to pedal less or something. How's this work?
Well, it's an electric assist for people that have heart conditions or don't have strained legs or the like. They can use the electric assist for going uphill. They still have to pedal, but they can take a lot of the strain off of themselves by the electric assist.
What's this thing right here?
That is the battery pack. That's a 24-volt battery, and it's good for about 24 hours of riding.
Is this nuclear powered?
No, it's a nickel-cadmium battery.
So how do you charge this thing? You go buy new batteries or what?
You unplug the battery. There's a lock so that they can't steal the battery from you. Pull the battery out. Has a power cord outlet right there. Take it in the house, lay it on your workbench in the garage. It's not really that heavy. When you're done charging it, slide it back in, lock it in position, put your key back in your ignition, and you're good to go.
For the amount of energy and materials that it takes to make just the actual metal, think of it, a car weighs several thousand pounds, and a bike, if you're buying one of the nice ones here, is a lot less than that.
And welcome back to Pro
and Con,
where we're going to discuss what we just saw, bikes as transportation.
Okay, gotta say first off, I've been riding bikes my whole life, and I love them. I even used to work as a bike mechanic when I was a little kid, okay? Right. But I would say this. The problem when you look at the realistic application of this concept in society is in a state like Ohio, with hills, with snow, with rain, I don't believe the average person that wears dress clothing or any other average person is really going to ride that bike to work every day. So it's an example, again, of a sustainable practice which I think from a perspective of academia sounds great, but it won't really be applied in society on a wholesale level. Look at India. They ride bicycles, but once they bought cars, then they're not riding them anymore. China only used the bicycles. They didn't have any cars. So now they have cars, and what are they doing? Using bicycles a little less.
It's really about changing the way people think. I mean, I know an executive who works at Macco who does ride his bike almost every day, and this guy has to wear dress clothes, so he has a special pannier to put all the clothing in, and he gets to work. But if more, let's just say 5%
that's
of the
one
population,
out of like 400,000 people in the community. But that's
let's just say 5% of the people go, oh, you know what, I might be able to make that change in my life too. That's a huge impact. So it's not saying that everybody's going to do it, but if just more people did it. And if we took little trips to the park with the family, instead of getting in the H2 that gets 4 miles to the gallon or whatever, we get on a bicycle and go to the park and enjoy that family time.
As long as our overall development of society is suburban communities that are 7 miles or 20 miles or 10 miles away
that is a problem.
From city areas where there's employment, we're going to have the problem of using up a lot of gas to get to work.
That is
and that problem is not going away because a lot of people like that rural lifestyle. Of course, that was less of an issue. You know, with the gas prices being up and the economy under duress, these things are pressing harder. I would say this on the pro side. What I like about this segment is if it makes us stop and think about energy usage. You know, it might not be that you ride the bike to work, but you might ride the car a little less. Or you might, when you buy your next car, buy a car that is more energy efficient.
Or
now we're
carpool.
starting to see a payoff from that segment.
Or carpool. You know, there are a lot of, you're right, there are a lot of options other than just the bike. But it is thinking about what are my options as opposed to just getting in there and starting that car every morning.
But let us agree that the sustainable life practices which are presented to our beautiful public are credible and realistic. And my question is, do you believe it's realistic that we ride bicycles instead of driving cars?
Not 100% of the time, but thinking about when we could apply it, when we're making short trips to the drugstore, to the grocery store. Yes, I do.
Well, of course, don't forget that I used to ride motorcycles. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock in the morning, and at 3 I was driving home in the rain, you know, spitting out water. The point is the weather is very changeable in northeastern Ohio.
Yeah, but it's not going to change when you go to, you know, the drugstore to get your prescription and back.
Barry, what's your opinion?
Quit calling Barry. He can't come here to help you. Besides, he's going to be over here on this one.
See you soon.
Hi everybody, this is Todd V with Sustainable Life. We're here with Michelle Baum at Ganley Toyota. She's a service manager here, and we're actually going to be talking about hybrid technology. You know, a lot of people are very aware of their carbon footprint, and they're trying to figure out ways that they can reduce their carbon emissions, and one of the ways is by using hybrid technology. But how does that really figure into how we reduce our carbon footprint?
The hybrid vehicle is a partial zero emissions vehicle, which means that when it's running on battery, there's no emissions coming out, and it will run on battery part of the time. It does have the backup gasoline motor, therefore it has to have some emissions put out from the gas motor.
Okay.
But in general, I mean, it's a very good vehicle as far as the emissions rating, because it does have that partial zero rating.
Now, when you say hybrid, I think you touched on it a little bit, but explain to me a little bit about what a hybrid is.
A hybrid vehicle, they call it synergy drive because everything is synchronized to run together. You have the gas motor running sometimes, but when it runs, it is actually charging the battery pack. So then it can run on battery. Also, it has regenerative braking so that when you're braking, it's actually helping to charge that battery as well.
That's fascinating. So it actually uses the kinetic energy of stopping to charge the battery.
Yes.
So there are times when it's a fully electric car.
Correct.
And that's at a certain mileage, or whenever the battery needs it, or
whenever the car knows when it's going to run on total electric. It'll run on electric anytime that it can, but when it needs charged, it's going to allow that gasoline motor to work.
Tell me about